Good afternoon, this is the Hummingbird Springs Wilderness Area, and I'm going to stop here to talk some anime.
Pat Labor, the movie.
Pat Labor, the movie is an engrossing 1990 sci-fi mecha action anime movie. It's mostly a tense mystery action story with a light sense of humor. Back in 1990, Pat Labor imagined a world 10 years in the future where huge heavy construction robots called Labors made possible mammoth land reclamation project in Tokyo Bay called the Babylon Project, in addition to other construction projects. These Labors also spawned a new form of crime, and so the police created a special vehicles division with special patrol Labors to fight crime. Pat Labor. Pat Labor is the story of one of these police labor units. The cast includes 2 labor pilots. Noah is bright and earnest and with a talent for machines and a reluctance to use force. Noah's partner is Asuma, a bright young man who happens to be the estranged son of a labor manufacturer. The unit's commander, Captain Goto, may seem to be a laid-back person at first, but he's really a cunning strategist who's good at manipulation. Before the movie, Pat Labor had a manga and an OVA series, and a TV series was already in production, so a lot of other characters populate Pat Labor's established universe, and in this movie we'll bump into plenty of them. But this is mostly Goto, Asuma, and Noah's show. The story involves an increasing number of labors that are going rogue, going amok on destructive rampages, even without their pilots aboard. Even military units have been affected. Soon there's a suspicion that there may be a computer virus or a Trojan hidden somewhere in the last general software update for the Labors, but that program's genius author, a fellow named Hoba, appears to have committed suicide at the Babylon construction site in front of dozens of workers. So while the Pat Labor units try to keep order, they also have to figure out what's causing these malfunctions and whether it's part of a larger plot and how to stop it. The result is a tense and exciting crime mystery peeled back one layer at a time with some political complications as well. And all this unfolds with a cast of incredibly engaging characters. Asuma tries to discover the root of the problem, Captain Goto tries to motivate his officers and pave the way by manipulating politicians to deal with the disaster, and Noah is fretting that her beloved Pat Labor machine that she pilots, which she's named Alphonse, might also be infected with this virus, whatever it is, and go rogue and have to be destroyed as well. Was this something that was intentionally programmed, or is it a bug? The labor manufacturer isn't about to admit that its flagship software is faulty. Besides, they're important to Japan's economy. Too big to fail. And the politicians have invested a lot of money and prestige in the Babylon construction project, which is only possible because it uses thousands of these construction labors. So everyone at the top is going to deny the problem and ignore it until the evidence becomes overwhelmingly undeniable. It's going to be up to the Pat Labor police to get to the heart of the matter through strictly unofficial investigations.
ま、乗員の操作ミス、人為的事故って線で蹴りだな。
ノア！なんだよ。たかりならダメだよ。もうこれしかないんだから。今月に入ってからの出動記録と報告書の控え、全部集めてきてくれ。
どうすんのそんなもん。
いいからすぐやれよ。
ああ。
おやさん！冷蔵庫空いてます？
電算室使ってよし。
どうも。
相変わらず人を乗せて使うのがお上手だこと。
All this mystery is bracketed by some sharp mecha action, and it never loses sight of the characters that are its heart. Pat Labor is a collaborative creation of headgear, and the staff of the movie is pretty much the same as the staff of the OVAs. Masami Yuki developed the concept in the manga. That manga's been translated and published in the US by Viz, by the way. Kazunori Ito wrote the screenplay, as he did with the OVAs and the TV series. The character designs are still by Akemi Takada, shaded with a little more detail than from the TV series, and the mechanical designs are still by Otaku Izubuchi. Director Mamoru Oshii has also directed such fare as the original OVAs for Pat Labor, Urusei Yatsura in the past, and later on he went on to direct the Ghost in the Shell movies, among others. He's created an incredible mix of action and atmosphere and character for this production. The music was composed by veteran Kenji Kawai, who also worked on the TV series and OVAs, and many other anime series. He's done a wonderful job here, setting 3 different moods. There's pulsing action music for the action scenes, of course, but he's also created some moody pieces for earlier in the series, where tensions are building and the sense of impending disaster looms. And for Detective Matsui's Through Tokyo, following Hoba's trail, he's created some haunting Japanese traditional theme melodies that match well with the theme of Hoba's trail. The art offers both dramatic action sequences and a moody exploration of Tokyo. All of it is very pretty to look at. I give the Pat Weber movie 5 stars. It created a tense thriller around an engaging ensemble cast and delivered an exciting action conclusion. Your perception of Pat Weber may vary depending on your generation and which side of the Pacific you're on. The movie followed the 1989 Pat Weber the Mobile Police OVA series and manga, and was made at the same time as the TV series. The second OVA series and 2 more movies followed. In terms of home video, which is what most 1990s anime fans in the US got to see, the movie appeared well before the TV series was released. And this movie was the first Pat Weber video with an official North American release from USMC. So for many anime fans in the mid-90s to 2000, this was the first Pat Weber they'd seen. Of course, these days, with all these videos already available, and ubiquitous rentals, not to mention internet downloads, there's no telling which Pat Weber you may have seen first. I sometimes wonder how many people think that James Bond is Daniel Craig, or whose first exposure to Star Wars involved Jar Jar Binks. So how well does this Pat Weber movie stand on its own without the OVAs and TV series as a preamble? Well, pretty well. There are some details and some chuckles for those who already know the characters. If you don't know Konica Clancy from the TV series or OVAs, you won't entirely understand the reference to her early on, or recognize her face later. But for the most part, we get a good sense of who the major players are and what they're about. The characters are reasonably well developed for the main players, and for the rest you'll just have to take them as supporting cast as they are. And the plot here stands completely on its own. The movie has been dubbed into English twice, first by USMC back in the 90s, and more recently by Bandai Visual. USMC didn't get to use the same voice cast that they did for their later releases of the Pat Weber OVA and TV series. They also tried to help English speakers by modifying the translation for the English dub a bit to add a little extra information. For example, at the start of the movie, the helicopter pilot's exposition will be a little longer, and when Noah and Asuma meet Shinobu, it's as if they're introducing themselves for the first time. USMC's DVD also put the Japanese soundtrack in simple stereo, while the English got a full Dolby 5.1 surround treatment. Bandai Visual did a new dub for this movie and put a premium price tag on it. I like their dub better, and they took the training wheels off the translation. Plus, the original Japanese soundtrack is in full surround sound this time, just like the English. But I don't think it makes it worth the second purpose of a second DVD if you already own the Pat Weber movie. Since I'm already familiar with the Japanese voice cast for this movie from my old Laserdiscs, I prefer to use the Japanese soundtrack with English subtitles anyway. Besides, there are some places where the characters use English, and you can't distinguish that with the dubs. Neither USMC nor Bandai put any notable extras on the DVD, except for trailers. I thought at a premium price Bandai Visual would charge, they might have at least dug up some of the old creator interviews from the so-called OVA 6.5 and the end of OVA 7 onto their release. Thanks for listening.